I hate when it does that. I so hate when it does that. All right, so I figured out the problem, and I still need to rectify said problem. So that's not correct. All right, so what I'm gonna do, and if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna put up big screens. You're just gonna see me. Oh, my hair. Oh, I need to put a hat on. What does it look like? What the heck? But I don't understand nothing anymore. I got like 19 different videos on my YouTube channel. Okay, we're just gonna do it like this. Bro, what amount of green is on me, bro? Yeah, this weird. Anyway, what's the remote to this light here? I just used it, not that. Oh, how it ended up on the floor is beyond me. Anyway, can we, remove some of the. That's what I was doing wrong. Let's turn the lighting down so I can stop thinking I'm green. All right. Yeah, can we just open that? Thank you. I think we're live on Twitch and Kick. So far, nothing's having a seizure. Yes, Kick us up. I mean, Twitch. Okay, let's check Kick. Kick us up. All right, yay. Nothing's having a seizure. Oh, nah, that's wild. My teeth green? I've been to be. Yo, this camera is weird, man. This camera is weird. What, you told me I got organisms? I washed my hair. I just took a shower, too. Anyway, so yeah, fixed. I don't know what it did, don't know how it did. If it worked, just leave it alone. Leave it alone. Ain't no need to do nothing more if it worked. Mm-hmm. We're gonna take that off, right? All right. So yeah, got a new soundboard. Yay. Um, came with the new microphone here. You see this? It's the same arm, so I didn't bother like attaching that because getting a new desk in a minute. So yeah, no, I got an arm. See, the desk hasn't came yet, and it. Don't think it's gonna come today. That's getting on my nerves because I done gave FedEx so much clout. I mean, I gave FedEx so much clout. Yep, there it goes. Delivery updated. Mm-hmm. How did he even? And this one chick I told about, bro, like as we speak, just now snapped me back, bro. Like you're late. I even told her about the situation at hand. I can't grab the AirPod case. I couldn't grab the AirPod case. Anyway, um, so yeah, done set up a bunch of more stuff here. One, I no longer have to have Kick and Twitch open to see my chat because now on my OBS thing, I can see both the chat from Kick, Twitch, and YouTube. So we streaming on there too. So 3 platforms. Clap that up. No, okay, screw you. Anyway, so yeah, package is delayed now. It just updated it 6:37 p.m. ago. I'm not gonna tell you which city. Just know it's in South Carolina. All right, you're not gonna get the city. I need to get a new camera because this thing is bugging, bro. Hold on, how do I stop? How do I fix that? It's my question. Anyway, let's see what this chick's saying. I got a new microphone with the soundboard. Anyway. Oh, my Bank of Monopoly Go just got robbed. Anyway. Yeah. It is. So yeah, with the chats being on my OBS is a good thing too, because the view count is on my face. I hate having that view count up because I never get like any viewers, bro, and it's like. So anyway, yeah, I got no viewers. I got 12 followers on Twitch, 4 followers on Kick. How many subscribers do I got on YouTube? Is it that delayed? Or is it just not completely live yet? It's that delayed on YouTube. That's weird. Alright. I got 32 subscribers on YouTube. And that was before I cleared the entire account of the videos that were on there. Before I was like, I was posting videos off my phone and stuff like that. They didn't do too good. Yeah, I was YouTubing. 49-minute gaming video, an hour Fortnite stream, Twitch stream of Buckshot Roulette. I can actually show you stuff. Just sitting here telling you on a wrong screen. Turn that off. Then you got how to be a YouTuber 2024, only with 1 view. And after I post that, I'm like, how do I do? You see, starting off is kind of difficult a little bit. Like you gotta plan it, and if you don't plan it, everything's gonna get haywire. Everything's gonna go haywire. You're going me, huh? Oh, that's too loud. Oh, speaking of which, y'all can't even hear the thing.
Limit your choices.
Y'all can't even hear the thing.
Solo tienes manzanas. You only have apples.
Yes.
No, gracias.
Simon says. Oh.
These are 10 of the most emotional YouTuber moments.
Get these cameras out of there. Just pray for me, please. What you put into my head made me want to myself.
Alright, we're done.
And in number 10, IShowSpeed got emotional when he almost died. Because when
Bro, this dude.
Speed was in Tokyo.
I seen that, bro. That was wild, bro. Siri, bro, you're about to catch up. You're about to catch hands. I really just said, oh, my gaming boy. I know you ain't talking with all the PC stuff you got in your room, bro. Hold up. I know you ain't talking. I know you ain't talking. Last time I checked, your Fortnite didn't even work on your PC, bro. Why this dude got all these tools? How does one get that amount of tools? No, you had to try to do this, bro. You had to try to do that. Anyway. Give me my game up, yo. We better get to running, yo. Anyway, I don't even know what to do, Loki. A Nerf nuke?
This video is sponsored by Bamboo Lab. The Nerf nuke is real, and a terrifying reality begins to set in. It's bad enough that a device like this exists, but it's even worse that, right now, if a hand is hovering over the launch button, that hand would belong to a human who is just as flawed as you.
How did we get here?
That's what I want to know.
Well, we should probably recap.
Okay.
My last video left off with the Nerf nuke completing successful testing of the DART launch system and demonstrating 99% efficacy with oxyhydrogen propellant. And you probably noticed that the detonator was a time delay system that starts when I pull the filler tube out of the bottom. This is because the Nerf nuke has to be launched into the air before it fires out 100 darts. This launching will be accomplished by our silo and initiated by the launch control briefcase, but we'll come back to that once we wrap up the nuke itself. Now you might think that there's a timer inside the Nerf nuke, but it's actually way simpler than that. It all starts with a cap for our chamber core, but this cap needs to hold more than just the heating element that ignites the oxyhydrogen. The power for a heating element now has to fit inside the nuke and has to be able to supply a lot of power at once, since heating elements are incredibly electrically demanding. That much current in this size can only reasonably come from some capacitors. Now there is a limit switch that's held open by the inserted oxyhydrogen tube. This switch activates a relay when the tube is removed, and then that relay sends all the power that's stored in the capacitors through the heating element. The element was able to ignite some flash cotton, and more importantly, a little chamber full of oxyhydrogen. Okay. But getting the heating element just right is difficult. If it's too thin or draws too much current, it will burn out. But if it's too low current or too thick, it won't get hot enough to ignite the gases. But when it does work, it still takes a second to get up to temperature, which will hopefully allow it to launch the darts as it reaches its apex for the perfect mid-air detonation.
From the perfect height, darts will rain down onto everybody in the room, assuming we can get it into the air. Thankfully though, I've got a plan. Originally, I wanted to have a case that opened up and then the nuke launcher would tilt upright. Very dramatic, but as I was looking into it, I was starting to have doubts.
So I've been looking at different cases, like Pelican cases, and I'm leaning more and more towards finding something that's already vertical, because it's just one less variable to figure out. You know, I'm all about repurposing, so what's the existing mass-produced form factor that's already close enough to that? So I've searched toolboxes, I've searched storage containers, I've searched buckets.
And with so many existing containers out there, it was only a matter of time until I found something really cool.
So it's 11:11 and I just ordered a trash can off of Amazon. The listing said 2 and it showed 2 trash cans and it showed them in 2 different sizes. The description said 12 liters, but I want the 28 liter version one, which they show in the pictures. And then when you look at the dimensions seem to match the 28 liter version now. It's already kind of got a cool look to it, and just with a few little embellishments, it might be the perfect little Nerf nuke silo. That is, if it's the right size.
Now while we wait for that to arrive, let's check in with the Nerf football. No, not that kind of football. This kind of football. When we last left off, the internals had been roughly designed by my brother Charles.
That button is amazing though, Charles. That's really cool.
Now, just like the movies and television, I wanted this thing to have as much drama, spectacle, and awesome aesthetics as possible, all contained within this plastic thrift store briefcase.
Yeah, it was $6.50. I was like, wait a second.
So while my brother and ChatGPT were squashing bugs in the code, I got to work on the case itself. We decided that the main panel should be blue anodized aluminum, but with a twist. As I cut the holes for the switches and other components, I oversized them to reveal the thicker structural panel that would be mounted underneath it, made of fluorescent orange acrylic. But while CNC machine
I don't know
parts
these names,
are
by
what
the
I have
way.
experience with, they have
I don't know these names.
especially in the third dimension. Thankfully, my brother had already been prototyping some of the mechanisms for the case on his personal Bamboo 3D printer, and that was before they even sponsored this video.
Oh, you already have a Bamboo printer, right?
Yeah, I have the P1S.
And you like it?
Oh, man. It was out of the box and printing in 10 minutes.
And once they sent me their A1 printer with a multi-filament setup, it was super convenient to make things like the big orange and black button, or the scissor lift platform, which is actuated by a servo motor. You see, I thought I'd have to export things to like a card and then carry that card over to the printer each time that I wanted to make something, but actually you can just do it remotely over the network and then even remotely keep an eye on the printing with the built-in time-lapse camera, which is like super convenient. I mean, you can even use your phone. Now, most of the designs that we used were modified versions of free online designs, and I'll link those below. But before the scissor lift can dramatically push the button up through the opening in the aluminum faceplate, an acrylic cover has to slide back, which is accomplished by another servo with a 3D printed rack and pinion. Now, I knew that making 3D parts is where the Bambu would really shine. After all, it's in the name 3D printer. But what really surprised me was how good the multicolor printing was, like the 2D face of the button. By printing my Nerf Nuke logo in black and orange face down on the textured hot plate, I was able to get this great textured finish that looked really, well, finished. And the same thing goes for the orange and black key covers. That's right, keys. You need 2 of them, turned at about the same time for the cover to slide back and the button to rise up. But it doesn't stop there, because we also need 6 toggle switches and 4 potentiometers in order to have a proper launch sequence in the silo. You see, this briefcase sends commands wirelessly, and surprisingly, none of them go directly to the Nuke itself. The whole thing starts simply enough with a 4-button remote relay. Each of these buttons remotely turns on a switch on this circuit board, and we're going to need all 4 of them.
The first thing that we need to be able to do is to
So speaking of Nerf nukes, I got mailed a bomb. No, I'm kidding. That would be crazy though, but I'm not even gonna lie, dude. That would be some weird crap.
open the top of the silo. Do we have a silo yet?
No.
It finally came! Is this my perfect Nerf Nuke silo? These bottles fit right into these corners. I love finding something that exists that's already perfect. It's like you're discovering this wonderful puzzle piece that was just left there for someone to find. Now, if you remember from part 1, these are the electrolysis bottles that produce the oxyhydrogen, which is what gets ignited to propel the darts out of the nuke. And this silo will have 2 of them for quicker fueling. And to literally top it all off, there's a self-opening lid. In addition to holding the Nerf nuke, the trash can silo needs to do 3 main things: charge the nuke's capacitors, fill it with oxyhydrogen, and launch it into the air. So I designed an interface that can do all 3 with just 2 tubes. The central tube is the launch pressure tube. Now the nuke has its own small metal tube that is capped at the top, and you can slide that tube down onto the launch tube. By running CO2 into the launch tube, the pressure should push on the nuke tube, and early tests were promising.
I just heard you say tally ho and then a metal bar shot into the ceiling.
The second tube dispenses the oxyhydrogen, as well as triggering the igniter when it gets pulled out. Now to charge the capacitors, I connected a negative wire to the launch tube and a positive wire to the oxyhydrogen tube. The nuke core is then grounded onto its own central tube, and then the metal flap of the limit switch itself becomes the positive contact, since it already has a spring that holds it tight against the oxyhydrogen tube. So once I painted the bin from blue to a slightly different blue and hooked up the CO2, I decided to see if it would go. 3, 2, 1.
No. Ha!
We blew out the fitting. Now, part of the problem is that the two tubes weren't the tightest fit, meaning CO2 could be escaping between them before they reach high enough pressure. So I greased up the tube in order to fill that gap. It's also important to note that at pretty much any phase of this project, I'm quite sleep deprived.
Technically speaking, that was not enough.
It's not enough.
Now, crappy or not, these tests just wouldn't be conclusive until I built a proper base to mount everything, got tighter fitting tubes, and then tried again. But it would help to understand what I'm aiming for here. I'm aiming for the ability to aim. The higher up the nuke is, the farther out the darts will go, so if your targets are spread out, you'd want a higher launch and a later detonation. But if your targets are close together, you'd want a lower launch and a quicker detonation. That's where the potentiometers come in. You see, even though our 4 remote switches can only be turned on or off, we can control how long they turn on or off. For example, if we turn the switch that sends power to the capacitors till it's fully charged, we will have plenty of power to get the heating element red hot right away and detonate quicker. But if we stop before we reach the maximum voltage, it will take longer for the heating element to get hot and give us a later detonation. By the same token, if we open the CO2 solenoid valve for a long time, we'll have a higher launch than if we just open it for a short burst. That is why, when you flip a switch on the briefcase, the Arduino will read the corresponding potentiometer value and then activate the corresponding relay for the duration determined by that value. It's not just a big orange launch button, it's an entire remote launch control system, and it looks so freaking cool.
You're gonna feel cool holding this thing, and carrying this thing, and using this thing.
You know, he'd never written code before, but with the help of ChatGPT, I think my little brother Charles did an amazing job. And meanwhile, back on the silo, I had just designed and cut a parts enclosure base using some acrylic. These 2 clear plates are mounted together by standoffs, and then they'll mount to the bottom of the silo, but before that, I needed to test the new, tighter fitting launch tube. And even though I already suspected that this might take a lot of trial and error to sort out, okay, I still knew I had to make those errors first.
Yeah.
That's not so
It's like contact correlation.
No! So I tried to learn from my mistakes. But no amount of learning or minor successes could make up for the increasingly evident fundamental design flaw. It's promising that it's going, but it's not going high enough. We need more. You see,
You should try this while you're outside.
Tank is a lot of pressure. But that's just the P in PSI. The amount of force that's applied changes.
My grandma's old diaphragm still has some flavor left in it to remember her by. What? 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 I'm so what? My grandma's old diaphragm. Diaphragm? Diagrams? I'm sorry. What? I'm confused. What do you... Okay. There's multiple questions. There are so many questions right now. Possibly the craziest thing that ever got typed into my chat. Huh? There's multiple questions. I'm gonna start off with why you thought it was a good idea to divulge that information to me. 2, what do you mean by it still has some flavor left in it? First of all, let me, because I'm terribly confused what you mean by this. Are we serious right now, chat? Okay, bro. Here's what I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm going to do. All right. So this doesn't look like this is your first chat. Okay, not entirely sure. But what we are gonna do, I'm gonna hit you with a timeout, and you're getting an hour. All right, you're getting an hour timeout because that statement was absolutely why you're getting an hour timeout for that. Okay, Twitch is quiet. Good. Yeah, let's refrain from typing stuff like this into my chat, please, because I'm not gonna lie, that was random. Anyway, back to the Nerf nuke.
Is based on the amount of surface area that's applied to. 800 pounds per square inch. The stroke diameter of these tubes is only a 1/4 inch, severely limiting our push power. But I can't go too big because our nuke core had issues igniting when I originally had a large launch tube. Even finding 2 tubes with a close enough inner and outer diameters is a pain in the butt, but I searched and found new tubes that I hoped would be the perfect balance for all of these variables. These 2 tubes are much larger than what I have in there right now. Now, this increases the amount of area that it has to push on significantly. It also increases the strength of the launch thing. That one's just a little weak. It's really easy to bend. It's not robust. This is. Now the tubes didn't initially fit, but I worked down the diameter of the inner tube on my drill press with some sandpaper until the fit was buttery smooth, and then I tapped the end for a pressure fitting. But now I also had to remove the nuke core and the top cap, redesign and recut them for a larger tube, 3D print a new launch tube plug, remove all the components from the old one, and then squeeze them into even less space. And I was running out of time. We are at Wednesday, December 4th. I do not have a working Nerf nuke system, much less a video about it. Here's that plate that was damaged, and you see I've done here is that ancient Japanese art where they take the gold and they repair the cracks in the pottery, and the gold represents kind of like the growth process and how our scars end up becoming our strengths. Except in this case, it's super glue, and the super glue represents my desire for this thing not to freaking break again because I don't have time to make another one. Hopefully, by the end of the day, this thing launches with some force. I hope so too, Joel. So I mounted the new launch tube, then inserted the new core, set it up on my floor, and touched the solenoid wires to the battery. Well, how about that? These launches were looking much
Imagine,
better.
just imagine getting hit with the entire thing, bro. Yeah, like, screw the darts, you just get smacked with the entire nuke thing itself. Like, imagine having a Nerf war, you look up almost and you get smacked in your face by a cylinder, bro. I'm suing you. Oh, everything, I'm suing you. Alright, here's what I'm gonna do. I think you left. But I'm gonna take off your timeout, give you 5 more minutes, and don't do this again. Let's just not do that again, please, and thank you. Alright.
Switch to any.
One thing too. I was thinking about streaming the new season of Squid Games on here. But the thing is, last time I tried to stream One Piece, Kick kind of sent me a notification and got mad at me. So let me know, and if enough people want me to do that, I'll risk it. All right.
Even bigger CO2 tank. Whoa! Okay. I now had enough proof to carry this design forward to completion, but there was still so much to do, like opening the top. The trash can lid opened really fast, and though I tried modifying it, it just had a bulky motor mechanism that made it hard for the nuke to fit. So instead I cut an orange acrylic lid and got a linear actuator, which is much more dramatic. Especially when you include the homemade smoke machine built into the base. Also in the base is the 4-relay circuit, a 3-cell battery to run it, a large single-cell battery to run the electrolysis, a voltage converter to output the 5.4-volt max capacitor charge, as well as run the smoke machine and power the linear actuator as slow as possible. If this sounds like a lot, it was, which is why it's a dang good thing that I had this dang good 3D printer to knock out quick parts, like the CO2 tank brackets or the lid hinge. Like, I've been running my partially homemade CNC machine for years, but before this video, I'd never 3D printed anything. So as a novice printer who also has extensive 3-axis experience,
It's crazy to me how well this thing runs itself, with multiple filaments and at such an accessible price point. Check out the link in my description, check out Bambu Lab, check out the A1.
It's a seriously impressive printer and a great way to support my channel through commissions.
Now the Nerf nuke system was getting closer and closer as I plowed through issue after issue, like the fact that the electrolysis relay was getting too hot, requiring me to replace it with a separate larger relay, or that I had to limit the current going to the capacitors, otherwise the nuke core wires might overheat or melt the limit switch. I had to cut a new foam base and paint it, paint the briefcase, repaint the briefcase, repaint the briefcase. I mean, if I pulled this off, the big test would be incredible. But would it really be worth all of this? It is Thursday morning and I'm busy. You know, somebody's saying in the comments, take some time off because, you know, we had another kid. And this is what allows me to stay at home with my family. This year was a tough year. I almost had to walk away from YouTube for a bit. So, baby's born, but if I don't do these videos and I don't do a dang good job, and if I'm not passionate about it, then they're not gonna do well, and then I won't be able to afford to stay home with my family anymore. So imagine my relief then when it seemed like the Nerf nuke was finally ready.
I don't know why it scared me.
And head to Quincy's warehouse. But I wouldn't be alone.
Oh, okay, all right. Come on, dude, come on.
Matt from the channel Big Rig Creates was the first guest to stop by and witness the greatness of the Nerf nuke.
The greatness.
I was nervous. So nervous, in fact, that once we set up for the first test and I pushed the launch button, I realized I'd forgot something kinda important.
I looked at it, I'm like, the top's still on it. Shit. All right, we're opening up the top.
But the next time, I remembered to include the dramatic opening sequence, and I was ready for the big payoff. Just to make it clear, there were two big issues. Not only was it not going high enough to clear the launch silo, but now twice it hadn't detonated. So Charles and I started taking things apart looking for answers. But ultimately, we decided to just give it more oxyhydrogen and turn up the CO2 delivery duration to ensure that our second test visitor, Patrick, would get a good show.
You're gonna wanna see this part. All right, 1, 2, 3. Charles, you wanna do this one?
Sure.
Listen, like I said, I didn't know what I was walking into.
I'm trying to make a new fuse, but it's a finer gauge wire, so it's probably gonna burn out, but it'll get really hot before it does. Charles is over here trying to loosen this up because for some reason it's really tight on the tube, which I think is inhibiting it from being able to launch. We've had 3 duds.
You know in the movies when everything seems lost and you're finally ready for that sweet underdog moment? Well, real life isn't always that predictable.
I don't know, what do you think would be a good thing to say?
I would just give up.
Yeah? No, I mean, it sucks. It sucks. I was very optimistic. And so the fact that not only did it not launch properly, but that then the darts didn't go off. It's like, how do you proceed then when your perceptions are clearly so faulty?
If there was a silver lining, though, it was that the boys were there to each comfort me in their own way.
I know what you need to call it. Hey, boys. You could put like the little soundbite from Call of Duty. You can have it like, mission failed.
We'll get him next time.
So obviously, I'm gonna fix it, right? I mean, I'll have even less time to edit the video, but I'm gonna fix it, right?
Well, the first thing I did was stand up the CO2 tank, as being on its side can cause some issues. But when that didn't fix it, I scoured the internet for a high-pressure, higher-flow valve with next-day shipping and got this. That fixed it. But the fuse was kicking my butt. I decided that the hot wire was just too unreliable and ordered one of those arc lighters, but unlike the hot wire, it creates a plasma arc as soon as you hit the button, so I would have to figure out another way to delay the activation for a half second. Meet the homemade gravity switch, which should activate once the nuke changes direction at the peak of its flight, right?
Well, actually, gravity seems to act equally on everything inside the Nerf nuke as soon as it's no longer being acted on by another outside force, meaning as soon as it leaves the launcher, that's when the switch activates. So then I tried to do something with capacitors to make some kind of a delay for when the relay would trip, but I'm just not that good with circuits, and without the time to research and order and ship specific parts, I needed something now.
So, remember how I said I didn't use a timer and it was much simpler than that? Well,
that changed. And not to be left out, my iconic shelf of creations decided that it was ready for a change too. Thankfully, most things were fine. Most things. And I could go back to the relay.
Oh! Yo! I know, bro. I heard over that CPU. Oh my gosh, bro. Yo, bro. Only thing I gotta say about that, I'm surprised you didn't crash out, bro. I'm surprised bro did not crash out.
Circuits. I had to try 4 different kinds that I had lying around until I could get one to function properly on the 5.4 volt capacitor voltage by swapping its 12 volt relay for a 5 volt one. And then I had to run power up from the capacitors through the 3D printed cap in order to power this circuit, though the arc lighter had issues without its own battery, but at least everything was now contained and could be reused many times without needing to remove the cap for recharging. I was done messing around. And just a few days after my last failed test, it was time to head back to Quincy's warehouse for one more try. And even though that first launch was technically a bit of a fail, it showed me that everything was at least working.
Better than before.
Okay, need to angle it more forward. So when the next launch didn't detonate, I was worried that the igniter circuits were just too sensitive to survive the impact when the nuke hit the ground, but I also realized that I had forgotten to top off the capacitors after the oxyhydrogen. So we set it up again.
Dude. It happened so fast!
Halfway through its flight, half of the darts launched out of the Nerf nuke. So with a couple more minutes of oxyhydrogen, would we finally have our full launch?
Yup! 3, like right in the nuts.
1, 2, 3, 4. 96%!
I got hit a lot.
That's a success!
Yep.
So 8 minutes of oxyhydrogen was about the sweet spot, and man, does it look sweet. In fact, we wanted to capture this sweetness with as many different slow motion camera angles as possible. And we also have some special darts to try, but we can only do all of these things if it survives each punishing launch cycle and each subsequent smack into the ground.
But after 3 solid months of work, baby, I'm ready to roll those dice. Even get a little goofy with it.
1, 2, 3. Button is pressed. Here we go, baby.
You alright? I got hit by like 12. I guess makes sense.
Not gonna lie, that thing is cool, bro. I'll buy it off you.
So even though we lost
500
briefcase control by switching to a relay timer, and even though the launch height seemed to be more affected by CO2 pressure than by the solenoid duration, it was actually working really well. And this sometimes happens in my projects. You know, when it all pays off, and it's pretty surreal. You know, my mom is a 3rd degree black belt, and she worked at a karate studio as a program director for like over a decade. And whenever the black belt candidates would complain to her about how hard it was, she would pull out the supply catalog and offer to order them a belt right then and there. Like, here's the black belt, no need to do the hard part. And every time, they'd immediately get it. Like, the belt's only as good as what it represents, and what it represents is what you become in the process of facing immense difficulty. Don't run from your challenges.
I used to do martial arts and stuff like that, right? And I helped participate for a black belt evaluation. Bro. Yo. It was like 2 to 3 hours long. I know that might not seem like a long time, but bro, it felt like days, bro. And I was getting beat up. I mean, like, the people that were like in the evaluation, like getting their black belt, they had to go full force. So imagine getting thrown across the room. If you're watching this, it still hurts.
Even if they're unfair,
I'm still in pain.
For better or worse, they're your challenges. And if you faithfully face them down, one day you might even be able to choose which challenges you take on. And after successfully facing some of mine, watching this thing go off time after time is just, it's just awesome.
What do you got here, Chief?
Special darts that Charles has prepared meticulously. You know those Nerf darts that whistle? Well, you can modify a regular dart pretty easily to do the same thing.
Oh, that's gonna sound
We really wanted to hear
crazy.
what 100 of those at once would sound like.
You need more open area. It needs to go higher.
Could you even hear that?
Nope.
I guess the boom was too overpowering, at least in this enclosed space. It's amazing how much of a beating that this thing could take and still keep working.
And it's got me wondering, could I make a fully 3D printed version with flexible filament for the outer shell? I could take everything that I've learned, and then with 3D printing, I could create a more three-dimensional
Nah. Cause no, look. If it goes higher and it has like more stuff in it, right? When it blows up, it just covers the entire area. So no matter how fast you run, you're still gonna get hit by it.
shape that shoots darts in all directions, much more like the Think Geek Nerf Nuke. And then I can make a Fallout-style shoulder launcher like many of you suggested in the comments. So
Bro,
let
that
me know
would be
in the
so
comments, what would you like to see?
Bro, imagine
Thank
getting
you
hit
so
directly
much.
with that, bro. Just boom, bang. You just get hit with 1,000 more darts. That'd just be wild. That'd just be wild. Anyway, what's up? Oh, hold up. Oh yeah, I remember you. Yeah, what's up, bro? Oh wait, we gained a follower. Yo, thanks for the follow though. Thank you for the follow. I'm good, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm good. Anyway, thank you. Oh wait, what?
This video is sponsored by Bamboo.
Don't sue me again. Yep, I'm on Kick and Twitch actually, and YouTube.
This is the Fortune Chair by Heller Furniture, and it costs $1,175. But what if I could just 3D print it? After all, the chair is made of plastic, and I've 3D printed designer furniture before, like this Magispun chair.
Oh, that's weird.
Oh my god! And while
based on your question, so do you need? I'm not looking to like partner with anybody as of right now. The main reason is because it's like when I blow up and all that, and then I don't want you to feel like you're not getting enough credit, and other stuff happens. So I'm not really looking to like. Yeah, I already got all that stuff down, so I'm good. And like other people before I came on my account and asked like if I was trying to like, partner up and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not really trying to do all that because like I don't want to like partner with someone I don't know IRL, and then I don't want you to feel like you're not getting enough like recognition or stuff like that or credit, and then a falling out happens, and I'm not trying to encounter all that. It was like, thank you for asking. I got you. But thank you for asking, though.
my 3D printed version was far from perfect, it showed me that this concept is possible. But why settle for a proof of concept? Can I 3D print the Fortune Chair so it looks just as good as one you would buy from?
My IG should be the same. No, actually, it's not the same as my Kick name. My IG is Agent Ty, but at the end it's like _3898. I didn't need to put that on for Kick, so I just didn't. Because like there'll be a bunch of people just using Agent Ty, and then it's like people don't do much with that name. So it's like, yeah, my name is Ty, but I just use Agent Ty because right now I'm working on like a group and stuff like that. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. 1 second. All right, so changing developments. I have to go. Yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna have to turn off stream. I work tomorrow, so I might stream when I get up in the morning, or worst case scenario, Worst case scenario, you'll see me Monday. Anyway, thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you.